Hello, I'm Martin McConnell, the Public Information Officer for Ascension Parish Government. And today, as part of our Departmental Profile Series, we're talking to Martha Collins, the Grants Officer and in the charge of the Grants Department for Ascension Parish Government. Hi, Martha.
How are you doing, Martin?
Welcome, welcome, and I'm so looking forward to hearing all the different things that you have. I think a lot of the public is familiar with, Department of Public Works, or they know the Drainage Department, but they have no idea what the Grants Department is. Can you tell us a little, what do you do, Martha?
Nothing is what they would say. I do too good of a job. They don't think we do anything. But in the grants office, we basically have federal grants, state grants, or foundations that pertain to our departments. We only do
and a grant is money that comes from someone else.
From a different agency.
That allows us, it allows Ascension Parish Government to do projects or provide services without spending
That's correct.
General fund monies.
Now, the only grants that we do are for the parish.
Yes.
We do not do any outside grants for nonprofits or this thing, but we do refer if we come across some funding that might be for our benefit to them. We'll
while you're out
on.
there looking at grants, looking for grants, seeing what's out there, if you find something that would pertain to an agency or an organization in the parish, you can refer that over and tell them where it is.
We
hey,
do that all
guys,
the time.
there's a pot of money here.
We don't do them for you, but these are areas where you can get some additional funding.
But what's great is that you do find money for Ascension Parish, and we've done a lot of things. We're going to go into that a little bit later, but tell us a little about your staff, because this is not a one-person operation.
No, it's not. And if you don't like paper, you don't get in the grants office. It is just massive. I have 3 staff members. Hermina Irvin is our assistant grants officer, and we have Latricia Anthony and Ashley
Gaignard. Ashley Gaignard.
Yes, she's a new, and I haven't pronounced her name probably. So, but she's in the office, and they mostly take care of the day-to-day operations, making sure the files are correct, this type of thing.
Well, in day-to-day operation, and I know I've had some experience with you on the different types of grants. That includes administering the grants, because they don't just give you a pot of money. They just say, all right, you must meet all of these criteria in order to receive this grant. And we were talking about a lot of it is reimbursable money. Yeah?
Everything's reimbursable. We very seldom have funds that are given to us up front. Those days are gone. There's not a lot of funding out there that's just available for them to pay us.
So what happens is the parish has to pay for this project or for this service, and then we're reimbursed. Like what we're looking at right now from the great flood of August 2016 is the parish paid a lot of money for debris removal, for drainage work, for all this kind of stuff, and now we're out of pocket for that, but we did it with the expectation that we would be reimbursed by FEMA and the various federal agencies.
And I think the most important thing that we have to remember is that these agencies aren't just dying to give us money. We have to go out and compete for the money, or make sure that the grant is written properly, meaning that if it's a grant for Public Works and they want it to be this, has to be for signs, don't send them an application for message boards. And a lot of people have a tendency to go in and want to put extra information in. That's a no-no. You just put exactly what's in and make sure that you follow the requirements, because if you don't follow the requirements and stay in compliance, you lose the money that you put in.
That was going to bring up that point, that we are in fact competing for this money. Just because you have applied for it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the grant.
No.
And so what are some of the reasons why you would be denied?
Well, if you didn't follow the procedures. If they said to put a cover letter and then put a short summary and then break it down, this in 2 different categories and
And so
show where
sometimes
your
it's that
budget is.
it's that specific.
It's that specific.
Wow,
You
yeah.
you have to do what the grants. Now, in terms of changing, because we used to do paper applications, a lot of the federal grants have now gone totally online. So you can't enter it paper-wise. There's no paper. You're required to keep the paper for years and years.
And years, yes.
And years, but it has to be done online. And then, so that brings it to another whole change in how we do business.
Right,
Because
yeah.
it's all electronic. And
So Martha, now where do these grants come from? This is all essentially federal and state money. I've
That's
heard you
right.
mention, and I know people have heard you at parish council meetings applying for a CDBG grant, for instance. Tell everybody what is a CDBG grant, and what are some of the other agencies that grant?
Okay. CDBG is the Community Development Block Grant, and that's federal money. It comes from HUD, which is
Housing and Urban Development.
Urban
Okay.
Development. And actually the funding that we got from in CDBG was recovery money. So it starts, these type of applications start years and just being able to do preliminaries, then you get approval for preliminary, then you go into a final application, and then you go into their approval, and then you can start 2 years later. So, and then you have all the compliances to go with. So the CDBG is that was recovery money that we got. It was about 19 million. But they also have Louisiana Community Development Block Grant, which we've done in the past. We've done Dara Sewer. We've done Hillryville Sewer. So those were done through the state funding. So
where else? Who else provides grant funding?
well, FEMA is the biggest.
FEMA's the big boy.
Right now, that's the one that we've had more funding with. Yeah, we've gone through the Department of Energy, the U.S. We had a direct allocation from energy, and then we had a state allocation where we use funds from the state for different programs.
Yeah, we're gonna go into
yeah.
some, and I want to tell everybody, Martha really has a long list of successes, and I don't think people realize, and that's part of our purpose for being here today. People don't realize how many things were accomplished in this parish thanks to grant funding that you received. But you also mentioned something a moment ago about how it's a years-long process. I was speaking to our planning and development director a little earlier, and we were talking about the Great Flood and how long we'll be suffering through this. And he said, you know, Martin, some of my colleagues down further south, you know, in St. Bernard Parish and so forth, he said, they're just now closing out Hurricane Katrina, which was 12 years ago, you know, 2005.
We closed ours out last year. We have 2 left that was in Katrina and Rita.
That
we
we
have
are
2
still-
that have been finished for over a year and a half, but has not been officially closed out by FEMA. And
Yeah.
then the other kick to that is you get to keep it for 5 years.
So
It doesn't end. You still have to.
So this is a long drawn out affair. Yeah.
It is.
But what's great is that we can accomplish so many things thanks to partnerships outside of Ascension Parish. So we don't have to use, I don't want to say it's not taxpayer money, because if it comes from the federal government, it is taxpayer
It
money.
is.
But
It
we don't
is
have to
money.
use any of our local money or any of our general fund
General
money.
funds is what happens. Right.
Okay, well, I really do want to talk about some of your big successes, and in my view, especially because I used to work out there, but Lamar Dixon Expo Center is almost completely funded, the acquisition and the improvements funded by grants.
It is. And, you know, I can go back and look. The importance of purchasing Lamar Dixon was a really something that we can be very proud of, because we, administration and the grants office, put together 7 grants, and we closed on them in 1 year's time, and it was a total of 7.something million.
$7.5 million, yeah.
So that funding came from 7 grants. 2 of them were out of Washington with Mary Landrew. It was an EDI grant in the Specials Project. We had the CDBG money that came in. We had appropriations from the state on 2 items. And so that's what it was made up of. And we have to actually make sure that we thank our legislative and congressional delegation.
Yeah.
Because without their support on some of these major grants, you talk 20 million, there's a lot of behind the scenes type thing that has to fall in place. And I think it's real important that we thank them, as well as our administration.
And they really do. Our congressional delegation, they do come here often. They are aware of what's going on in Ascension Parish. We had a meeting here recently. We had representatives from Congressman Garrett Graves' office. We had representatives from Senator Bill Cassidy's office who were here, and they provided not only their expertise but their background, and they gave us just so much information. And then they tell you, guys, here is the help that's available, and here is how to go about getting that help. And so we can't do it without them.
No.
But let's back still on Lamar Dixon. Okay. Once we bought Lamar Dixon with grant money, then I mean, gosh, we've had the solar panels installed out there. We've had generators installed out there. We've had the roofs fixed. Go on a little about that.
Let me tell you just a little bit about that.
And look at this list. It's 2 pages. It's 2 pages.
Well, in our department, we try and make sure that we assist all of the other departments. We're just an extension, just like finance is an extension of a successful project. Purchasing is an extension of a successful project. We're trying to enhance that.
It takes a team. It takes a team. It takes a partnership. Absolutely.
And so we put, with state funding, we put the industrial fans in the arenas, in the Trade Mart, and in the 4-H building.
Yeah, that's those great.
Those were their
10-foot ceiling fans. Yeah,
very big.
They're
and
big.
I won't give you the name of what
no,
it
we're
is.
not going to talk the name. But,
We also put some chillers and HVACs out at Lamar Dixon, and that was through the Department of Energy. Those came from the state and the federal money. Not federal. It was all state.
It was all state money.
With that one, we with the 4-H building, we climatized the 4-H building.
Right, because it was essentially just a big open, huge open shed.
So we climatized it with CDBG money. We upgraded, we added front meeting rooms or areas where you can hold small gatherings and this type of thing. And then we totally redid the inside of it.
And upgraded the kitchen,
Upgraded all of that. In addition, the FEMA money was for the wind hardening. So we went in and did all new windows that are all FEMA rated. The doors were redone for the doors. We retacked the roof. The roof was in pretty good.
And that's because Lamar Dixon is an emergency staging
That's
area.
correct.
I don't want to call it an evacuation center, but
No,
it is an
it's
emergency staging area where these different agencies that respond to emergencies come.
Right.
So FEMA wanted to make sure that Lamar would still be there. So they fixed the roofs to be more hurricane proof, the doors, the windows, all of that stuff. And you know what was great about that? That's federal money or state money that's coming in, but the money was spent with local vendors and so it's really good for the local economy because we pretty much let local or area people or businesses do that work.
An opportunity.
Yeah.
And so on the wind hardening, we did the arenas, all 3 of the arenas. We did the 4-H building in conjunction with CDBG money. Then we went over to the Trade Mart, did the Trade Mart with not so much the windows. Yeah, we did. We did the roof and the doors and the windows. We went to the commissary. We went to the gym. So all of the buildings out there that would be utilized if we had a hurricane for different staging areas for the utility companies and that it is all in place today. We have generators that we put out there so that if the power goes down, we have backup on it. So it's pretty well been hardened and set forth for any type of evacuation or staging if we did have
So
a
really,
crisis.
so now Lamar-Dixon is more prepared. We've always called it a multi-use facility. Now
It
it's
is.
really a multi-use facility in the broadest sense of the term, isn't it?
And the state uses that. I mean, this is another thing that it could be a regional in case Baton Rouge went down. Lamar-Dixon would be the site that they would bring their move in and have their people come move from one location to another. They would hold it as a staging and then leave from there and go to the areas that are affected. So
Okay.
we can be real proud of what's been
Oh,
accomplished
sure.
out there.
Now, Lamar-Dixon is part of Ascension Parish in Ascension Parish, but I'm looking at this list, and you've done a lot of things to help some of the different municipalities. I'm looking at this long list of things that were done in the city of Donaldsonville that we assisted. Your
Right.
office assisted the city of Donaldsonville. Tell us some of the
Well,
some of the
with
successes you've
the
had
funding
there.
from the Community Development Block Grant, the requirement was that we include our municipalities. So each municipality was awarded $1 million, and they chose what projects they wanted to do. So Donaldsonville chose to do a DPW building, which is a brand new facility for them. They did their sewer
Well, I see
arena.
they did the plant upgrades for their sewer
right,
project.
for their sewer. It was a sludge removal type thing, and if you've ever experienced anything, it's amazing to see them taking the guck or yuck out of the pond, and then they press it.
That's an image we don't want to go in.
Yes, you do.
You know,
It's amazing. It's amazing to see that and to see how that process is.
Okay, and now the fairgrounds. The money went towards the purchase of the fairgrounds
The
in
fairgrounds was
Donaldsonville.
purchased with the Community Development Block Grant. We put, that's another area where we had HVACs from the Department of Energy. We put
In
new
City Hall.
City
yeah.
Hall, and then they were, I think we put some generators in there too from some of the other funding areas.
Okay, how about City of Gonzales?
Gonzales,
what am I
we're
looking at
very-
here of Gonzales?
We're very proud of that because we partnered with the City of Gonzales for the new police department.
The new building there
The
on
new
Corner
building.
View.
We put $1 million into it and we partnered with them. They had funds already, so we just enhanced that. And they were the first construction project for CDBG to actually break ground. So we were the first in the state to actually have buildings started, and it was successful, and it really was a good shot in the arm for the city, and it was a good joint effort between the two, the city and the parish.
Yeah,
on
so
that one.
to make sure that people know that we're not in competition
No.
with the municipalities.
No,
we
we are
are
not.
partners in all of the different endeavors that go on,
always-
and we provide assistance when they need it, and they provide assistance back to us. We are truly partners. And
We are.
And you're kind of the checkerboard at the general store. Everybody sits around the checkerboard and
They
and
call
gets
and say,
everything
"What
done.
you got?" And I always laugh because when Jackie Bowman was an engineer that was hired by the parish, and then she retired or she left, and she went to work for the city. And Jackie and I worked on all these grants together. And so now I would look up and I'd say, "Well, what do you mean?" Jackie was going for the grants that we were going. So we actually partnered in
Yeah, and
developing, and so we had a good relationship there, and we still do. I tell her about grants that are going on, and then she enhance if there's something she needs from us. We do the same thing.
Okay, I'm seeing a list here in the town of Sorrento.
Sorrento got a Sorrento Community Center.
They did. It's very nice. That
And
one.
we were real pleased with that. I think the mayor did. What happened is on that one, they came in, the bids came in over. And so the city had to partner up $60,000 to make the bid good for us to move forward, and they did. So that was another partnership to make sure that it got funded and it was available to move forward.
And as a result, they have a very nice modern facility out there
It's
for
great.
the community to use. It's a very nice facility.
The mayor's very excited about having that because they do register voting. Now the vote, they go there to vote.
Mm-hmm.
They can use it if they need it for their meetings, if there's a large crowd, public hearings, this type of thing. So it's a big need for it.
So you also did some City Hall HVAC improvements at City Hall. You did some sewer improvements in
That's right.
in Sorrento. So lots of things going on there. Let's talk. I'm looking at look, and I'm skipping all over this page because there's so much on here.
Okay.
I'm looking at recreation. There's a long list of things in recreation, parks and
Parks, we've done a good bit in that. Capital Outlay is one that we did for Oak Grove Community Center to renovate that.
That's
and
really nice. That's at 42, like Airline
Airline
and
and-
Jefferson,
right.
or 73 there. Yeah, they got the water park in there, the spray park. You got the
All of that
the
was-
nice big building and more parking area and yeah.
We did that for recreation. We also did something for the Dara Community Center and the Jackie Robinson Park. That was it was a state grant, a small grant that came across, so we did certain areas for that. Then we did the Highway 61 Legacy Park. That's right in front of the school.
Right by the school. Yeah.
That's a little different because we did the Frisbee golf.
The frisbee golf.
They had.
I think John Connolly with our TV department knows a little bit about
Does
that.
he do that?
Does he do it? Oh my goodness!
Oh,
Yes,
we'll
he.
have to have a competition then.
Oh, he's very competitive.
Is he?
Yeah.
Wow. I'll have to say something later.
Well, at least we got a place for him to go and play.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And we did a walking trail with recreations out of the Department of Transportation. It was in the recreation and cultural recreation area, but it's been moved to DOTD. So you have a walking trail there. You have playground equipment. And that was one of those that was an overflow that came in before I was in grants. But the park is really nice. And then we did Lemonville had a walking trail. We're also doing stuff at the Lamar Dixon for the soccer fields in the recreation.
That is another partnership because I know I was recently talking to the project manager because what's going on back there is a joint venture between grants, between recreation department, but between Lamar Dixon. I mean, everybody is pulling
That's
together.
about three funding agencies. The lighting district came through to help with the lights. It's going to be a premier soccer facility, and it'll be well used. I know that.
Okay, here now let's get off of some of the fun stuff and get it. I'm looking. Here's drainage. I think that's a big thing that's on people's mind. Drainage and
Right.
stormwater.
When drainage and stormwater, basically the drainage includes all the elevations and the acquisitions through FEMA because it's routed through.
So
It's Ascension drainage.
And let's make sure people understand that when they get the letter of substantial damage or whatever, if they choose to elevate their homes, you can offer assistance, and they would go through your office to elevate their homes.
Yeah. So, and in fact, I did a little summary real quick of what we've done in the drainage, and I think if I got too many papers here, Martin. Just from Katrina back.
Since Katrina.
We had
2005.
$10,370,000.
So $10 million came into this parish just for Hurricane Katrina related.
It came through, and that's
issues.
all the way through current. So you had, this represents 16 elevations. You got 12 acquisitions. You got 2 wind retros. You got generators, 12 generators that have been put through with the FEMA. So all of that comes through drainage. And then you have a muddy creek, which we've been working on for a drainage issue. Mr. Rue's been really trying to get that accomplished.
It is incredible, the number of things, and we could probably sit here all day and talk about all of these issues, but I think that gives people kind of an idea of what is the grants department and some of the projects you're working on. How much money have you made for us, Martha? You want to tell? Give us the real.
Let's see.
What's the grand total since
the
you've been
grand
keeping track?
total is in the last, I'd say from 2012 to 16, we
2012 through so in a 4-year period.
we've been reimbursed $17,807 and some cents.
So $17 million, almost $18 million has been spent on projects and programs in Ascension Parish through grant money that your office
That's
has
right.
helped
And
obtain.
then $245,000 was collected in admin fees, which is not part of the project, and these funds go back to the general fund.
So when you say an administration fee, what it is parish employees are actually doing the work to administer, to make sure these projects get done. So the parish is actually being reimbursed for their salaries while they were administering these programs. Or
some supplies and that type of thing, or different items. But that's a nice figure. So we're very pleased that goes back in. Unfortunately, it doesn't go back into my budget, but it does enhance the entire departments.
It really does. And that kind of... Boy, that's a really big nutshell. But in a nutshell, that's the grants department, isn't it? It's you're there. You're off in a corner in the administration building, and then you just quietly go out and you have all of these great successes. And I'm so glad that we're able to highlight you this month.
It's not me, Martin. There's a lot of people. I'm just the person that's out there in front a lot of times, but the staff does a lot. The departments, we can't be successful unless the departments support it.
Well, and not just, it comes from the parish president. The parish president has to okay, or the parish president will have to direct you and say, these are projects, or this is where we need to move. The parish council has to sign off on it because there's often a matching grant, and so the council has to say whether this is something that we want to spend this much money on in order to get this much money in order to provide this.
We do a lot of checklists. We don't move on any project unless the parish president says this is something that we want to do. And like you said, the council has to approve it, and the department has to have the money in their budget, or it doesn't go.
I'm sure now that people appreciate what it is that your department, that grants does for Ascension Parish, and we look forward to hearing. Congratulations on your successes, and we look forward to hearing future successes.
Got a few more that are lingering out there that we'll be able to announce soon.
I'll just drop a little teaser here. Martha was telling me some things that are in the works that we're probably going to be ready to announce very shortly, but some very nice things are coming to Ascension Parish, thanks in part to assistance from the grants department. So thank you, Martha, for being here and for trying to explain to everybody what you...
Thank you. Like I said, this isn't done, and without administration and the support that we get, grants is just another department. I can't tell you and stress enough that it takes all of us to work together. If one drops the link, then it doesn't work.
Takes a village. Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Martin. Enjoyed it.
Thank you for joining us again for our departmental profiles.